Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable the examiner of this seminar draft thesis. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Azizah Jamal Passalowongi. I am from English Education Study Program State University of Makassar. In this lovely morning, I would like to thank you for the opportunity has been given to me to present my draft thesis. The title is The Effect of Using Clustering Technique to Student Reading Ability in MAPI DDI. Okay, chapter 4 is finding and discussion. Findings: the objective of the research is to find out how clustering technique affect reading ability of class 11 MAPI DDI Mangkoso. The first is score and standard definition of pretest and posttest. In the descriptive statistical table above, it can be seen the mean value of the pretest for the experimental was 55.20, while the posttest was 85.40. With a standard definition of 7.52 and 6.2 and 2. For the control class, the pretest value was 50.25, while the posttest was 79.10 with a standard definition of 11.93 and 7.77. In this saw a change in the average value from the pretest value to the posttest value. Okay, the next is normality test. The normality test was carried out to determine whether the distribution of the test was normally distributed with the provisions of the significant value for all data both on the homograph test and Shapiro-Wilks test more than 0.05. The data was normally distributed. Because in the table above, it can be seen that all both pretest and posttest in both classes are greater than the alpha value 0.05. Then the value are normally distributed so that further tests can be carried out using pragmatic statistics in the form of a t-test, paired sample t-test. The next is test homogeneity. The homogeneity test is only used in the pragmatic test, which examines the difference between the two groups or the several groups with the different subject or data source. Therefore, homogeneity test is needed as an assumption of independent test and ANOVA test. The decision-making targets for this homogeneity test are: 1. If the significant value is less than 0.05, it is said that the variance of two or more population groups are not same. If the significant value is more than 0.05, then it is said that the variance of two or more population group is the same. In the table, it can be seen that the significant value is 0.200, which means that it's greater than the alpha value of the 0.05, so that the variance of two group more data population group is the same as or with normal data. The next is statistical hypotesting or t-test, pretest, experiment class, and control class. As mentioned previously in the hypothesis, there are two possible outcomes that the study predicate. The first outcome is the H0 null hypothesis, where the use of clustering does not affect the student reading ability. The second is the H1 alternative hypothesis, in which is use clustering technique affecting the student reading ability. The criteria for hypothesis testing is if the significant threshold or level of significance is lower than the alpha level, it can be indicate that the student score reading ability between pre-test and post-test was significantly different and thoroughly improved. In this research, the mean is statistically significant. Because the level of significance 0.00 is not larger than the alpha or 0.05. So the H1 alternative hypothesis is accepted, meaning that use clustering technique affecting the student reading ability, and H0 null hypothesis is rejected because H0 means that use clustering technique does not affect for the student. The next is statistical hypothesis testing or t-test, post-test experiment class, and control group class. As mentioned previously, the hypotheses are two possible outcomes that the study predicate. The first outcome is H0 null hypothesis, where the use of clustering techniques does not affect the student reading ability. The second is H1 alternative hypothesis, in which is the use of clustering technique affecting the student reading ability. The criteria for hypotesting is a significant threshold or a level of significance is lower than alpha level significantly. It can be indicated that the student score reading ability between pre-test and post-test was significantly different and thoroughly improved. In this research, the mean is statistically significant at a level 0.05 because the level of significance or 0.000 is not larger than the alpha level or 0.05. So the H1 alternative hypothesis is accepted, meaning that use of clustering technique affecting the student reading ability, and H0 null hypothesis is rejected because H0 means that use of clustering technique does not affect the student reading ability. The next is Chapter 5, Conclusion and Suggestion. Based on the result of the study concluded that students in the experimental group who are taught by using clustering technique were better than students in the control group who are taught using conventional way. In this evidence, by the rejection of the null hypothesis or H0 and accepted the alternative hypothesis H1 after applying the t-test formula of post-test, where the t-test value is higher than the t-table value, meaning use clustering has a significant effect on student reading skill at MAPI Mangkoso. The next is suggestion. In reading, the research proposed some suggestion as follow. The English teacher should prepare an interesting or new method in the teaching reading. The second is the English teacher should try to use clustering method in the teaching reading for the next. The three, the English teacher should be creative in determining the interesting topic that relates to the theme. Moreover, they should relate that the theme with the news issues. The fourth, in teaching reading and the other materials, the English teacher should master their materials very well. And the last is the student have to try to using clustering as new method in reading progress. The Honorable the Examiner, I have present all content of my thesis from chapter 4 until chapter 5. Thank you very nice for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.